So
Right.
we're talking to Jeff Dunn once again. This is part two of the Venom Inc. interview. So Jeff, I'm going to ask you where we left off last time. Out of
Right.
the third album and fourth, At War with Satan and Possessed, which one is your favourite and why? Do you have one?
Now, neither of them.
Why?
Do you know what it is? It's no secret. I've said this loads of times before. I'm not the biggest fan of either of those albums, and both for various reasons. Like let's put it this way: I think they're good albums, but I don't think they're great albums. I mean, I've met fans who say "At War with Satan's" their favorite Venom album. I've met people who have said "Possessed" is their favorite Venom album. I've met a guy in Seattle who was standing outside waiting to get one album signed, and it was The Wastelands. That was his favorite album. So, I mean, everybody's got their own favorite thing. I mean, the majority, yes, is Welcome to Hell and Black Metal. But I don't know. I mean, At War with Satan, there were so many grand things supposed to happen with that. I mean, it was going to be the whole theatrical stage show, which was going to be presented along with this thematic music. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that album should have come along later, but then again, we didn't last that long anyway. So, but like I say, since I've been doing the Facebook Live things, I decided to pull a few of the songs out from At War with Satan and Possessed, and like revisit them and re-record them. And one in particular that I did was Mystique. And on Possessed, it did nothing for us. It was, I mean, it wasn't a good time for the band anyway. Possessed, it wasn't that whole period was the whole meltdown period. That was the beginning of the end for the band, really. Regardless of me being unhappy or whatever it was that was going on, and there was plenty going on. I don't believe that any of the personnel involved in the band at that point, I don't believe anybody was really happy with what was the way things were progressing. And in certain ways it was regressing. It was, it seemed like, we'd hit a peak and then it was, I don't know. But since I re-recorded some of the stuff from both of those albums, there's actually good songs on there, but I don't know. Those two albums just never struck me in the same way as the first two did, and like I say, Possessed. I mean, I speak about this in the book, and it's like, I've heard this fucking stupid fucking thing in the air where it was me, yes, Jeff, hired a stately home to record Possessed. What a fucking load of bollocks! What a load of shite!
What do you mean you hired John Lennon's place?
No, we actually recorded. We recorded Possessed in a place called Moor Hall in Sussex, and it is a huge English stately home. And we put everything into the ballroom, and we recorded there. We had the Manor Mobile outside. Fair, we stayed there for the week. We had our own rooms in this big stately home, and it was all very grand and stuff like that. But it wasn't me that hired it. The first time I seen the fucking place was when I turned up to start recording. It was actually Eric Cook, our manager at the time, and Abaddon. They had been going around looking at places, and then they had come across this place where it's no, it was, oh God, it was so predictable. Let's put it that way. When I found out what it was, but I mean, it came around at the time where Kiss had done Creatures for the Night, and there was. That album had this massive drum sound, the opening to Creatures of the Night. And we were looking for something like that because I had wrote the music for a track that became too loud for the crowd. And it's got that big diggity 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 bam bam diggity diggity all that big tom intro at the beginning, So we had everything set up in this big echoing ballroom, but there wasn't many fond memories of recording that. I do believe that with the songs on Possessed, I think we sort of rehearsed the life out of them. There wasn't any spontaneity anymore. I mean, but and I suppose all this comes from the point of view of being so close to it. You know, if you're not there and you're not involved in it 24/7, you know, it doesn't seem to be as, how can I put it, as intense or as problematic or whatever. The Venom fans and people who became friends, as we went along, they all just seen the end result. So when they went to the shop to buy the latest Venom album, it's the same as me. I go to when I was buying vinyl or CDs, I would go to the shop and buy the latest Judas Priest album or the latest Kiss album. I didn't see within those grooves the problems that they had recording that. I didn't see the arguments that they had. I didn't see, how many times they rehearsed a song. All I was interested in was what's on that album. And I suppose, that's where the fan perspective comes from as well. Because at the end of the day, we're all music fans. And it really, one of the things that really shot me down in flames was finding out about, sometimes Ace Frehley didn't turn up for fucking studio sessions in the early days. And you're like, what? You think that these albums are created by your favorite people all in the same room together. And yes, the first 4 Venom albums were. But like I say, the grooves and the songs don't necessarily reflect the feeling at the time or the problems at the time. And I remember sitting on this big staircase outside the ballroom, and I was just sitting on the staircase, and I had my guitar, and I was just messing about. Wasn't even plugged in. I was just sitting there. And I remember Abaddon coming over to me, and he was like, "You're a bit quiet. Are you okay?" And I was like, nah. See, I'm giving this 6 months, and then that's it. I've fucking had enough of this, And it was starting to everything was starting to drift apart, And that was the speed of the success, because it's success and fame can drive a massive wedge between friends. It can be the biggest destroyer of friendships or even acquaintances, And I firmly believe that that's what happened to us, that it happened so quick that the personalities couldn't take in what was happening. I mean, come on, even fucking the records didn't know what the hell was going on, man. No. They were just as surprised as everybody else. It was like, when we did that first single in League with Satan, I firmly believe, even to this day, 40 odd years later, I still believe that David Wood at Nit Records, he got onto the pressing plant and went, "Here, will you press 1,000 of this fucking shite single up? Just stick it out somewhere." And I'm convinced that he fucking just stuck a few hundred copies or 1,000 copies out into the world so he could turn around to us and go, "See, yes, shit, no, fuck off." But that didn't happen. All of a sudden, boom, Venom happened, And the next thing that happens is we're walking into the studio to go do some more demos, green as grass, still wet behind the lugs. And he turns around and says, "You got enough songs for an album?" Well, oh, fuck that. Yeah, aye. And that was it, But like I say, even on that 7 Dates of Hell tour in 1984, I can remember walking into a Espace Ballade in Paris, and David Wood had come across to that show. And I walked in and just looked and went, fucking hell. It was massive. And when you think, where are we playing? Are we playing in the foyer, or is there a smaller place? Or what? That place was full on the fucking night time. Same with Teatro Tenda, big Italian tent. I've got a photograph of that place from the back. And the stage is like a postage stamp. Wow. Not in 1984. And that was our first European tour, our first venture out there, And I mean, even, reviews of Hammersmith Odeon in the British press, I fully expect them to see them at Wembley on their next British show.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was Jeff Barton that said that, and everything was looking that way. But, that, like I say, the speed of the success, and, we should have had, I mean, and right up until Possessed as well, we should have had, I firmly believe, we should have had management who turned round and said, right, you, and you, sit the fuck down, shut the fuck up. This is what's going to happen. Otherwise, you're going to be fucking dead in the water because you're shit. All right? Now you fucking pull your socks up. But we had Eric, who was a friend, right? And he learned his craft as he went along, bless him. And I tell you what, he became a pit bull for the band. And he fought tooth and nail for us. He really did. He tried and he tried and he tried. And he learned the business and the industry as he went on. He ended up managing Andy Taylor from Duran Duran, for fuck's sake.
Wow.
You don't do that without somebody having some confidence in you. But it was the personalities in the band that made his fucking job that much harder. And by the time it got to Possessed, it was out of control. Yeah. It really was, and that's why Possessed hasn't got that many. Well, I don't think there's any good memories from that period for me. Even the World Possession tour and all that kind of stuff. I mean, and then the events at Lorelei after all that, and then my decision was, that's it.
I mean, you were left after that album, didn't you, Jeff? You left for the album Calm Before the Storm, and then you came back for Primeval with Turney on vocals.
Yeah. I mean,
Music of the Nations.
The first thing that I mean, when we had been, I think it was in America, and we recorded some shows, so we put the live album out, Eine Kleine Nachtmusik. And obviously, like everybody else, we went down, we did some overdubs, and I literally went in and just threw my parts down and left the studio. I couldn't bear to be in the fucking place, after what had happened. And funnily enough, the last song that I actually wrote for the original lineup was Chanting of the Priests. Now, that is on Eine Kleine Nachtmusik, right? And it is credited Lant Dunn. Right. Now, they then recorded it for Calm Before the Storm with Jim Clare and Mike Hickey. The credits on there read Lant Bray. They took my name off. It's my music. It's my music and Conrad's lyrics. But my name was taken off for Calm Before the Storm. And anybody can look at the writing credits and see that.
Wow.
And I mean, even the Calm Before the Storm thing, I've had... I've had an individual admit to me that it was a mistake, and what was supposed to happen before that album was probably what was supposed to happen when we did Primeval. So that can show you there was a massive mistake made then as well, and you know what? I'll invite any of them to come and dispute this with me, because it's the absolute fucking truth. And I remember before I did the album Zero Tolerance, I got a phone call off Eric one day. What you doing? And I mean, I was heavily involved with my martial arts gym at the time, and I was flat out with that. And this was what was it? 2000? I can't even remember. Early 2000s or whenever it was. And he was like, "Oh, do you not fancy doing something?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I don't know." So I went down and spoke to him anyway, and then eventually agreed to do this album. And then we did the Mantis album, Zero Tolerance, and we ended up going to Japan. And
I mean, that was very different. They were very different than Mantis albums, weren't they? They were kind of more melodic metal, weren't they? More than what you would.
Well, the first one was Winds of Change. That was. Yeah. Do you know how that came about? The Winds of Change album. When I left in '85, right? I got a phone call off David Wood. Well, I left in '86, and I got a phone call off David Wood, and he wanted to speak to us. And he was like, "Oh, do you fancy doing an album?" I was like, "No, no, no, no." And I went down and spoke to him, and then the Winds of Change album happened, right? So, I mean, we did quite a bit with that. I mean, we did MTV and we did videos, and we got an offer to go to Japan actually at one point, and it was all looking good. That actually the reviews for that melodic. I mean, it was. Do you know what it was? It was a breath of fresh air. It was just a relief. I've always said if I've got a white wall in the house and I'm going to change it, I think, oh, what am I going to do with that? Right, the place needs decorating. What the fuck am I going to paint it white for again? If I want to do something different with it, so everybody sort of said, "Fucking hell, is that madness? Jesus!" A lot of people said, "Fucking hell, I didn't even know he could play guitar like that." And I mean, it was just fluffy head, 80s fucking have a laugh rock. And the videos proved it. That Deceiver video. I mean, it was just fucking. We were just having a fucking hoot. And then we got invited to do the Tommy Vance show as well.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
The Friday Rock show. We got invited down to do that. And like I say, there was an offer came through that David Wood had told me, like, oh, you might have a chance to go to Japan. But then the Primeval thing came in, at that point. But the Zero Tolerance thing was far heavier. It was a far heavier album, it's completely different, I enjoyed the Winds of Change thing. It was like I say, it was an absolute hoot. It was a laugh, with a bunch of mates, just, let's have a go, let's see what we're going to do. And then, then the Primeval thing came. And at that point, for Winds of Change, I had sort of hooked up with Al Barnes, because me and Al trained together. And then we were working at the Freeman Hospital together at one point in the operating theatres and stuff. He got a job there. I was already working there. And then, like I say, he came in on the sort of Winds of Change thing. And then the offer came for Venom again. And at first, I remember saying no. I said no about 3 or 4 times. Say, fuck off. Nah, not open hell. And it was only when they said, like, oh, well, we've got Tony Dolan involved. I was like, oh, right, okay. And they were telling Tony that I was on board. They were telling me that Tony was on board, but neither were on board at the same time, until we actually met up, But anyway, cut long story short, I really felt for Al, because Al really wanted this. He really wanted to get out there and play, and he had been in local bands and stuff, and that's so I said, look, you had a 4-piece in Calm Before the Storm. Why don't we just do it again? So I've got a lad. I've been working with this lad. He's great. So anyway, Al came along, and then just problems again. And it was like, I think the whole Primeval, it had so much potential and was so well received, but I just think it was ballsed up completely, by the way that we went out and toured these. We played every little toilet, and it was like, what the fuck? I can remember sitting in backstage somewhere, and me and Tony were just sitting there, and I looked at Tony and I went, and we're halfway through a tour, and I looked at him and I went, last one. And he went, fucking right, mate. And that was it. We played that show and we called it. We went, fuck this. Wow. It was really, it was soul destroying at one point, and that was after, Temple of Ice, Wastelands, and everything, it's like, but, and then obviously, the original lineup thing came back around again.
How did that happen then, Jeff, with the Casting Stone album?
The Casting, so God. Well, actually, it must have took about 3 years or 3 attempts to get Wild back together again. Because I can remember the first meeting that we had was in Trillions, like a rock bar.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Might have even still been called the Jubilee. I don't know. Anyway, Trillions rock bar, which was just up the road and round the corner from where I had my gym. So anyway, I'd get in this phone call, and says, "Oh, can you come up for a meeting, mate? We've got to." I was like, yeah, we got fucking Venom reunion, And so anyway, I had classes on at the gym that day, so I got one of the lads to take over for us, and I just walked up the road, walked into the bar, and Conrad was already sitting there. So I went over and, there was a tentative handshake. How are you doing? Aye, aye, aye. And then I turned around to him and I went, I've only come here to say no, mind. I just want to see what they're going to say, but I'm not doing it. Fucking forget it. And that's exactly what I did. I said, nah. No, but it'll be a Dynamo Festival. No, I'm not interested in it. And that was it. Nah, done. And then eventually, yes, we all agreed. But even that Dynamo Festival that we did
Yeah, I was at
in
that one.
'96.
Yeah, I was at that.
Aye, well, fuck it. You know what it is? That's the thing. You would have saw the curtains open and the band come on stage and the fireworks. You
Yeah.
did not see the shit that went on before that. Weeks of shit. It's on, it's off, it's on. I'm doing it, I'm not. I'm doing it, I'm not. Right, fuck off. What? Aye, you, fuck off. It went on for fucking weeks, honestly.
Wow.
And then eventually it was all on, I was sitting there in the fucking management office where one person of the band stood up, looked at the other person in the band and went, right, fuck off, get out. That's it. The other person stood up, walked past me and went, adios. And that's it. And I sat there and went, well, that's that done then. Fucking reunion lasted a long time. We didn't even get a fucking rehearsal in. So anyway, I fucked off home. Next thing I know, phone rings. Right, it's on. We're doing it. I say, oh, for fuck's sake, man. What's happening? But anyway, we got through it. We did it. And then, we did Metal Invader in Athens, another massive festival. Not as big as Dynamo.
You know that Dynamo Festival was the only time I've ever seen Venom live with the original lineup.
Aye, yeah. I think it's probably the only time a lot of people have seen the original lineup live. I think there was a lot of curiosity factor there that night. To see what it was all about. Probably people who had never seen it before. It seemed to me to be well received. But the Athens show was the best of the original lineup reunion. That was great. Oh, I think the band played well. The audience was amazing. The show was great. The whole stay was great. It was well organized. The press, the interviews, everything. And I mean, we were up in some hillside doing a photo session the night before the show, I think it was. And that was when, and I think Athens got the news that they were going to host the Olympics for the next time or whatever it was. And we could see down into the city and you could see the fireworks going off and the horns tooting. It was fucking amazing, And then we had the show. And then we did Milwaukee Metal Fest. And then we got the offer to do the album. And that's when it all went fucking tits up again, It was just all the old arguments, all the old wounds opened up again, and fucking, it was just destined to fucking slit its own throat, really. Lasted a bit longer, and then that was it, And then there was this massive bust up, and then that was when there was even more things went on before me and Conrad actually did Resurrection together.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot more went on, and all that is detailed in the book. So,
right.
The stuff you wouldn't believe, you'd just sit there and go, what? I mean, sometimes, you know what it is? Sometimes when I'm checking through the book and the chapters and stuff, I think, I'll just read this again, see what's it. And even I'll read it and go, for fuck's sake. It's like, what the fuck? But, it's like, I suppose every band's been through it at some stage in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So
I mean, after Venom, you did the Empire of Evil, didn't you, with Tony?
Yeah. Well, what happened was, I got German management, and that's how I got the scooter stuff. And we had the band called Mantis, right? And I was like, oh, do you know what it is? I'm absolutely sick of just being known by that. This was at that point, and I was like, I just want to be a guitarist in a band, So we changed the band name to Drill. And So what was I gonna say? Yeah, we changed the band name to Drill, and we did a lot of recording. We did a few shows. What was your original question again? Because you just said the Empire of Evil. That was it.
Yeah,
Right. Because there's so much involved in it. It's fucking hell. Anyway, so Drill came together. We auditioned people. Blah blah blah. The bass player Calais Recht was actually Scooter's out front sound man. The first singer we had, Neil, was the tech for Scooter. I met them two through all that thing, like, became still really good friends today. Andy Metcalf came in on guitar. Yeah, and me on guitar, and that was it. We did Jiggit Festival in Hungary. We did a few good things, and then we had a show to do with Trillions, and it was a charity event. There was a DJ in Newcastle many years ago in the 80s called Little Jeff, and he was very well loved. And he always used to do the DJing at the Mayfair and stuff, so everybody knew him, and sadly he passed away. So Trillions had this annual memorial thing for him, right? And they asked Drill to play. So we're like, right, great, excellent. So anyway, Calais was based in Frankfurt or Heidelberg. Bodo was based in Cologne. Calais had a Scooter show to do, which he gets paid very well for, right? So this was going to be a free show because it was a charity event. Everything was going to charity. So it was like, right, okay, don't worry about it, right? We'll get a dep in on bass. Then Bodo was doing a festival, and he slipped on the way up the ramp and broke his fucking arm. So he couldn't do the show either. So it was like, right, great. So Andy knew a bass player. We got the bass player in. And it was like, right, drums, what the fuck? What we're going to do? First person I called was Nick Barker.
Oh, and, Nick.
And Nick was like, oh, mate, he says, if it was just Venom stuff, I could do it. No bother. He says, but I'm on tour at the minute. He says, I'll have to learn all your songs. No problem. Don't worry about it. And I'm sitting there and thinking. And then I had gotten a message from Anton, all right? Just to let you know, I've left Venom. War Kid's a liar and a thief. I'm like, oh, you fucker, where did that come from? So anyway, he had come round to my house and we had sat and talked for hours, right? And everything was just like, yeah, knew that. Yeah, knew that. Yeah, great. Yeah. Well, I could have told you that, but, brothers, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I called him. I said, do you fancy playing a gig? And he was like, oh, what's it? So I went, well, it's Drill, like. I says, but we've got a few weeks before the show. I says, it's just Trillions, So anyway, we went, we rehearsed, played it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, cut long story short, this bass player and Anton became permanent members of the band because the other lads wanted it all based in Newcastle. I was like, oh, I don't know. All right, okay then. So it was all based in Newcastle. So next thing we do another show, right? Where we get up, we're doing a drill show with a new singer called Scott Michael Callaghan. Check him out, he's fucking amazing. And we decided to play black metal with fucking Numpty Nuts, me singing it, right? So there was me, the bass player, and Anton. So we're hammering through black metal in Trillions. It went down really well. It was just a laugh. We hadn't rehearsed it. We just learned it and got up and played it. That was it. Blah, blah, blah. Excellent, right? Then everybody starts talking. Oh, Anton and Mantis back together. I wonder, because Anton was with Resurrection lineup, blah, blah, blah. So me and Anton spoke, and we had a laugh about it and said, wow, wouldn't this piss your kid off if we did something? And then we both looked at each other and went, why not? So the first person we contacted was Mike Hickey, right? Who replaced me. Mike Hickey was on Calm Before the Storm. Mike Hickey had also had issues. So Mike was like, fucking right, I'm in. We were like, excellent, yeah, we'll go. So I started writing songs, right? The first song I wrote became Hell to the Holy, which was the title track of the album. So then it came down to like, well, we need a bass player and a vocalist, don't we? It was like, what the fuck? And Tony had been doing his acting and his film and his theatre stuff and everything. And we hadn't sort of been in constant touch for a good couple of years, And both Anton and Mike said, what about Tony? I was like, well, I'd give him a call, but I don't know if he'll want to. And I called him up And he was like, right, okay, as long as we just go full fucking tilt and just go for it. I was like, right, let's do it. So next thing that happened was Mike was so busy with Joe Bonamassa because he's Mike's Joe Bonamassa's tech. Mike had to bow out, so it became in Anton and Tony. We did the Creatures of the Black EP, then we did Help of the Holy, and then there was an offer came to actually support the boys you've just been talking to, Onslaught. So we set off on a trek, 22 dates around America in the back of a van, which was joyous. And but Anton really didn't want to do that, so that's when Mark came in, and Mark Jackson. Where Mark came from was he was in a Black Sabbath tribute band, and I was stage managing the what they called again. It was a big fucking thing at the O2, Rocks fucking, oh God. It was all part of Rock School. Gary Mellon's going to kill us because I can't remember what it was called. But it was a big tribute thing. There was Judas Priest tributes and Black Sabbath and everything. It's really good. So if you're in Newcastle and you see this advertised at the O2, go and see it. I think he's going to do one at the City Hall, or he's already done one. But that's where Mark came from. I seen Mark playing this night, and as he was playing, I just filmed a little bit of him, sent it to Tony and said, I think I've got the drummer. And that's where all that happened, you know? And we also, in the early days of the Zero Tolerance album, when Tony was still involved with the Mantis Project, then on Zero Tolerance, our first drummer was Charisse Osei, who is now with Simple Minds. There you go, a little bit of useless information for you.
Bloody hell, man, that's interesting to know. So we've got like 6 minutes left. So if we log out again,
shit.
If we log out again, Jeff, and then log back in, we can carry it on if it's all right with you.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Do
So
that.
right, I'm going to ask you another question then until it times out, and then I'll come back with an invite again. So
Right.
so from Empire, you did the two albums. I never knew about these albums. I've got the EP because I think you gave me it, or Tony gave me a copy of it once.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know anything about the albums. So who released them?
Scarlet Records. It was only one album. It was one album on Scarlet Records from Italy, which was Hell to the Holy. And then we did an album called Crucified for a South American label. Crucified South America, was it? Yes, something like that. So long ago, can't remember. But that was a lot of Primeval, Temple's Vice, and well, it was 9 songs re-recorded with Mark Jackson and 2 brand new songs, which was, one of them was Taking It All, I think. I can't remember. I'd have to look at the track list. But it was about 9 re-recordings from the Primeval era, you know, and they sounded fucking great. But that album's called Crucified. It's up there on YouTube. So, you know, we might be doing something with it all, the Empire stuff, just re-releasing or whatever, remastering or whatever. We'll see.
Yeah, right. Okay then, Jeff. So my next question is, no, Venom, the name Venom and Venom Inc. Why did you not keep the name Venom? I mean, you had as much right, you and Tony had as much right as much as Conrad did. What went wrong? What went wrong there?
Nothing. I didn't even want it to be called Venom. It was when the whole thing came around. I mean, the answer to this question is a long one. Much longer than 6 minutes. I know that. We basically got an invite to do the Keep It True festival as Empire of Evil, and previous to that, Tony had come up to Newcastle and he's doing a thing called Brofest, which was all new wave of British heavy metal bands. Excuse me, just inhaled me drink. And Tony asked me to get up with Adam Kraft and do a couple of songs. So I said, yep, excellent. So I did that. And then there was a Canadian band called Cauldron who were doing Die Hard, and they said, oh, would you get up? And I was like, yeah, okay then. So I jumped up and played that as well. Now, Abaddon was in the audience. We hadn't spoken for 17 years, you know, long time. I mean, 98 to 2015, never seen hide and hair of each other. And I seen him in the audience, I seen him walking apart, and we actually walked past each other. I thought, there's no fucking way I'm saying a fucking word. You know, it's just like, it's not down to me to fucking talk. So anyway, then the offer came through to do Keep It True, and Oliver, who runs it, had said to Tony, if Abaddon was there, would you get up and do some Venom songs? About 6 Venom songs just for the fans, So then Tony Tony didn't even get the sentence out of his mouth, and I went, no, there's not a fucking hope in hell, But anyway, I got convinced to do it. And straight away, I could see if there was going to be any future in this, I could see into the future and just see the fucking problems that were going to happen. But we tried. After the Keep It True festival, that went on YouTube so fast. We were literally playing the last note and it was up on fucking YouTube. I can't remember that show because I was so ill. I was so close to cancelling it. We'd been in Russia for about 10 days or 15 days or whatever it was. I can't remember now. It was a fucking horribly long, drawn out tour, and it was really arduous. It was hard, and I came back with some fucking horrible virus. And like I say, I was absolutely ill. And if it had just been an Empire show, I must admit I would have just made the call and said, I can't do this. But there was this big hype about this Venom Inc. thing gonna happen. So I was like, oh fuck, So I went and I did it, and I've watched the footage, and I look like I'm on another planet. I played like shit, and I cannot to this day, I cannot remember being on that stage. I felt when I eventually got back to going to the airport to go home, I fell asleep at the gate and nearly missed my fucking flight. I was fucking pissing sweat, fucking. Then I was freezing. I kept the top on all the time because I was covered in fucking spots and everything. I don't know what the hell I had, but it went on for 7 weeks. But yeah, that show. If anybody watches that show, they'll see I just look like I'm not even there, And honestly, it should have been a great fucking go for it show, because when I watch it back on YouTube, the reaction is excellent. The Countess Bathory, fucking hell, it's one of the best footage I've ever seen of Countess Bathory,
Right.
But that isn't even with Abaddon. That was still Francesco playing that, because we did the Empire set then we did the Venom set,